Hi guys, this is Amasha and today we are going to talk about how to grow wealthy. So I've done a lot of research and what I found is that a lot of wealthy people and rich people actually have businesses. So there is a tendency that when you have a business, you are more likely to grow rich and become, financially more successful than if you have a job. So that's one of the things that I've noticed. But the second thing that I've also noticed is that many of them, if not all of them, actually invest. So today I'm going to talk about investment really, and why investment can be a really good vehicle to become financially successful. So if you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and click on the bell icon and like, share this video, and of course if you have any input to this topic, then make sure that you comment below and I will try my absolute best to reply and take your suggestions on board. So let's get started. So investing in the stock market appears to be one of the best way to grow wealthy. So today I would just like us to just talk about this a little bit and see how anybody with very little money as well able to invest in the stock market. So if you do a very little research, you can already see that as little as like £25 in the UK, I'm in the UK by the way, so if as little as £25 you can already invest in the stock market, and there are different ways to do that, so we're going to talk about that as well. But before we get into the investment side of it, I really want you to consider one thing, and that is the emergency fund. Because what I find is that sometimes people start saving in planning to invest their savings, but then what happens is something comes up. Something unexpected happens, unexpected bill or changes, occur, and these unexpected changes result in the savings to be wiped out, and there is no more savings left, there is no more money to invest, so the investment for that month is not going to happen, and possibly in the following months as well. So before you get into investing, I would really suggest you just kind of try and build up some kind of emergency fund. I mean, I've heard things like you need to build up at least like 6-month emergency fund, and in case of something really big happening to you and you are out of work for that long, but at least a minimum of 1 or 2 months of like your salary, and 1 or 2 months that can cover all your outgoings. That is really going to help you out. So once you've got that out of the way, then you can look into investing. So when we look at the stock market, there are a few things that you need to understand really. So what is really the stock market? So the stock market, I like to look at it like a market really, so where people buy and sell, and you can buy into companies, big companies even, such as like Apple and McDonald's and like big companies, and you can, of course, there are different ways to buy into these companies, there are different things that can happen to your money. So if these companies do really, really well, then your money that you invested is going to grow. That's capital appreciation. But if the companies do poorly, what you invested could actually drop, and if you were going to sell at that point, then you lost money. So there's always a risk involved. So stock market, you possibly heard it, everyone did, it's a risky business, so there's always a certain amount of risk involved. So the way to actually invest in a stock market is there are 2 different ways. You can invest directly or you can invest indirectly. So if you were going to directly buy into a certain company and you decided to buy stocks in Apple, then you will need a stockbroker. Indirectly is when you buy into a fund, and the fund covers many different companies. So in a fund, there are many different companies actually in that basket, if you like. And there is a fund manager, and the fund manager, pulls the money from the different shareholders and invest it in certain companies. So that's the indirect way. And of course, you can actually earn more if you directly invest in a company than if you just invest in a fund, but there is less risk involved in investing in a fund than directly investing in one certain company, because obviously if that company goes down, then your investment disappeared. So that is, there are different risk levels, so you need to examine your risk level. What is the risk that you are able to take? Obviously, if you are a single person, young, and you are able to take a huge amount of risk, then go for it. Then choose a company that you did research on and directly invest in that. But if you decide to take it a little bit less riskier, then fund is possibly a best option for somebody who's a beginner and somebody who is not as experienced. And I would say experienced investors probably would go for direct investing. So there are two ways to make money on the stock market. I did mention capital appreciation. So when you actually buy into a company, if the company does very, very well, then more people want to buy the shares that you own. So if you were going to sell at that point, you would obviously make money, capital appreciation, you would sell for more than what you bought the share for. So that's one way to make money out of it. Of course, there is another side. So if the company does poorly, then you would lose money, as I mentioned earlier. The second one is dividends. So some companies who do well actually decide to share the profit between their shareholders. So that's called the dividends. And some companies pay out like annually, some companies 2 or 3 times a year. It depends, really. You need to look into that. And that's another way as well. So you can actually reinvest your dividends, and you can get the compounding benefits of it. So compounding interest, compounding benefits, which is really, really great, and you can build a lifelong wealth. So that's another thing that you need to know before you actually get into the stock market. So these are the basics of stock market. And there's just one more thing, like if you actually want to purchase a certain amount of shares or a certain amount of funds, and for example the biggest fund in the UK is a FTSE 100, which contains the 100 largest companies in the UK. So these are real companies, and as I said, real companies with real people and economic changes and all that kind of stuff. So anything can happen. So you always need to make sure that you actually do your due diligence, and you really do your homework and your research before you invest, because it's your money. So it's your hard-earned money, and just respect it and just make your money go far and make your money grow. So these are my tips and tricks, and these are my findings about how to grow wealthy in the long run. And as I find, it's always better to do it slowly. I don't believe in like quick fixes and grow rich quickly and things like that. So if you got any value out of this video, then please make sure that you like the video, share it, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notifications about future videos. And if you have any input, then just write in a comment section. I will try my absolute best to reply and have a look and take suggestions on board. And it's really nice and happy to have you here. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.